Hello everyone. Okay, so now we're going to be moving on with our basic interactivity tutorials, and the next thing that we're going to work on is if your player is walking and they come across, say, a portion of a room or something, and you want a note or something to appear to them or some kind of image when they overlap a trigger. So that's what we're going to be doing, and here these notes are on my courses on our basic interaction, but here are the steps on what we're going to go through. Now, the first thing we have to do is make this thing called a widget blueprint, which is step number 1. Then we set up our widget, then we're going to add scripts to the widget blueprints so that we're able to close the note on a click. Then we have to make a trigger in the level, and then we have to attach some script to that trigger that will open our widget in the player viewport, okay? And then we'll test it out. Okay, so I'm gonna go, here's a level. Now, one of the things I forgot to tell you in the last, in the sound tutorial, so we'll play this, right? So here I am in my level, and even though I've made my gun and my arms invisible, I can still shoot things. I don't know, it's kind of disconcerting. You might not want it in your medieval environment. Maybe you do. That's your choice. But it's very easy to stop it. Okay, so what we're going to do is, again, we go into our content browser, and you're going to go to that first person blueprint folder and into blueprints, and you want to open up your first person character by double clicking on it so we can look at it in the editing environment. And if you make sure you're on the event graph tab, remember when we were making the gun invisible, we were over here in the viewport. Here we want to go in the event graph where we have our script. So if we zoom in, we want to go to this section where it's commented to say spawn projectile. Okay, so this is what, you know, on an input action, basically your mouse click, it executes all of this kind of code to fire and spawn a projectile and play a sound and show a little montage there. All right, so all we have to do is move our mouse over this arrow, hold down Alt, hold down your Alt key, and then left click, and we've broken that link. Okay, compile it. Let's go back here, and if we play it, I'm clicking, but nothing is happening, right? Because I've disabled that. Okay, so that's how you get rid of the shooting ability. Okay, I'm going to close that down. So let's continue to try to set up our pop-up note. So the first thing, as discussed earlier, that we want to do is make this make a widget. So this is the thing that displays in the player's viewport. So I'm going to go to my content browser tab, right click there, and my pop-up menu is going to appear, and I want to scroll to the bottom where it says user interface. And if you look on the menu on the lower left at the very bottom, there's a blue icon with a heart in it that says widget blueprint. That's what I want to double click on, and then I'm going to give it a new name. I'm going to say my first widget, but you can call it whatever you want. Now I'm going to double click on that to open it up. Okay, so this is the widget editing environment. I have, if I click on this, you can see in the details panel, this is my canvas panel. It's blank right now. And on the left are things that I can drag out there, right, that I might want to use. So the first thing that I want to do is an image. I'm going to drag it by the handles to resize it. Now, if I want to play around with color or its opacity, I would do so by clicking on it and looking at its detail panels. And I can even give it a name. Right here it's called Image 205. I'm going to call it background. Okay. You can see if I look on the left that there's my canvas panel, and here's my background image. So I can keep track of the hierarchy here that's on my screen. Okay, so I don't want a white background. I'm going to change it. So you just can click there and you get your normal color picker. Hit OK. All right, so I have a little background image. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to put some text, right? So I'm going to select text and drag it out there. And again, I can resize this. And here's my text block. So I'm going to say test text here. Oh, now let's say title here. Okay. So what matters is when I hit enter, there it is. Now, this appearance, I can select it. Right now it's white. Do I want to change the color? I don't know. Up to you. Whatever you can. Okay, so I can also just how it's wrapped. I can set an auto wrap. So if you have a lot of text, it will fit an auto wrap inside your sizing box. Click down here, or I can select justification. We can change all kinds of things here, right? Okay, so there's my text. Okay. So the other thing that you might want to do is to change, here's the font. So this is the sort of default Unreal font that's in there. You can import different types. I can select my typeface and also the size. Ooh, I got a little carried away there. So maybe I want to make my title a little bit bigger and I want to position it up there. Okay, so now I want to add some body text. I'm going to put that down there. Okay, this where I put in some text. Okay, and again, I can mess around with that. I can put it in a different color if I want to. Okay, you get the picture. So this is all it is. So compile it and save it. Now, if you notice, if we look at our editor, we have two tabs up here in the right. We're in the designer portion. This is where our desktop or our screen is, right, where we can decide how it looks. If you click on the graph, this should look familiar. This is where you can set up the blueprint area and any code that to execute that's associated specifically with things in the widget itself. Okay,